Hello, I'm the Cartographer, and in this video we're going to be going over where you can find the lore that is related to the Grafton Pawnshop that was released with patch 16. Now, the person who owned the pawn shop sent 5 packages of information related to a conspiracy they thought they had uncovered to 5 influential people within Appalachia. And by influential, I mean people they thought could actually get things done behind the scenes or maybe even through official channels. So these 5 people are going to be found in 5 different locations, or at least where these packages were sent is 5 different locations. One of them is going to be found here in Monongah, in the sheriff's station there, or police department, I can't remember which one it's called. Along with that, there is the DaSilva homestead we're going to be visiting, which this character has never been to before, which is surprising, but anyway. And then along with that, we're going to be visiting the Charleston Herald to see where the package was sent to Quinn Carter. And then we're going to be heading over to the Capitol building where the package was sent to Senator Blackwell. And last but not least, we're going to be heading down here to Lewisburg to visit the gentleman who was hunting for the sheep squatch, because he got his own package. So let's start off with where I started off here and head on over to Monongah. Alright, here we are in Monongah, and the Monongah Police Station, Sheriff's Department, we'll find out soon enough. I guess police station from that. It was added within the Wild Appalachia update. And this the character this was sent to is Sheriff Darcy. And Sheriff Darcy was actually someone who was mentioned as well by the investigator found here at the investigator's cabin as being someone who was investigating government corruption here, but he ended up dead before everything went down. So pick that up. And that adds several little pieces of lore, but we're really going to look at those once we get back to the pawn shop. Now we've got the stuff we need from here, so let's go over to the DaSilva homestead. Now this character's not been there, so I'm going to travel to my closest location, and I will bring you back when we get over to the DaSilva homestead. Alright, it's a beautiful day here at the Silva homestead. Now I did kill some scorch when I first walked in here. But right here on the table in the front living room we have the package from Madeline DaSilva, so we'll pick that on up. Alright, so we are done here. Now if you're wondering on the map, right there. The next location we're going to be going to is the Charleston Herald. Okay, here we are, and we're heading right on over to the Charleston Herald. Okay, took care of a couple super mutants real quick, so we wouldn't have to go through that in this video. So we now gotta head upstairs. Past Quinn Carter's office, actually. The package is not in her office. Instead, it's in the office of the editor. Okay. And it's right here. Package for Quinn Carter. Alright. So again, more little bits of lore, but we'll go over that once we get to the pawn shop. Now, over to the Charleston Capitol Building DMV side. A little bit of a hike here, so I will bring you back once we get over to the actual door of the DMV. Alright, here we are at the DMV. Let's head on in. Okay, so I'm going to just bring you back once we get up to Senator Blackwell's office. I feel like you probably know exactly where it is. Top floor, other side of the building, if you really need to know. But this place is horrible, and I'm going to just try to sneak past the legions of unspeakable evil in the form of ghouls. Alright, Senator Blackwell's office. Let's head on in. Okay. And what we are looking for is right on over here on the shelf. Package for Sam Blackwell. Okay. Next up, we're heading to Lewisburg. Alright, here we are in Lewisburg, and we are going to Van Lowe Taxidermy, a place added with the Wild Appalachia update when they added the sheep squatch and the investigation to find the sheep squatch. Just head right on over up in here. Alright, so the package is actually just right on over here. Package for Calvin Van Lowe. And with that, we have all of the little packages of lore, so let's head back to the Grafton Pawnshop. Here we are, back at the Mother's Day Shrine, heading on into the pawn shop. Okay, now let's head back on upstairs. Okay, so let's put up the pieces of lore that we found. Okay, there we go. Now then, let's take a look at this. First of all, we have Vigilant Citizens notes to Blackwell, Carter, Van Lowe, DaSilva, and Sheriff Darcy. So, along with that, each one has basically specific little bits of information that was sent to each one of them. Senator Blackwell sent information regarding concrete invoices. We got transportation invoices here that were sent to Quinn Carter regarding a way station in Morgantown. This cover-up part is regarding suspicious deaths related to Vault 79. Then we also have location that was sent to DaSilva. And then we also have the treasure area, which was talking about Shanghai Sally and the death of the supposed Chinese spy, Shanghai Sally. Now, I've actually recorded all of this audio already in a previous video, but I wasn't happy with the quality of going and finding these pieces of lore. So I did it on this other character, but I'm still going to use my original readings here. So, let's see. Vigilant Citizen's Note to Blackwell. Dear Senator Blackwell, if you would permit me to say this, even though I do not know you, I recognize a like mind, someone willing to see beyond the facile truths that are spoon-fed. Know that if you read this, I am dead, killed by agents of the United States government intent on keeping a conspiracy secret. As improbable as it may seem, the treasure of Appalachia is not a hoax. It is real, and people have been killed for it. Enclosed is part of my findings. Please broadcast, publish, and distribute. If the other evidence is also shared, you or someone else may put all pieces together and achieve the final truth. Yours sincerely, a Vigilant Citizen. Holland Chase invoice number 9021. Invoice number 9021, Holland Chase Concrete Company, 893 South Prairie Lane, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Date, January 19th, 73. Delivered to Appalachia Special Assignment. Description, January shipment. Quantity, 8,100 cubic yards. Unit price, as spec'd. Notes, Supervisor Baldwell will handle this personally. Client wants to extend shipments by 3 months. And notes left by the Vigilant Citizen, 8,100, that's insane. This is not going to Vault 76. They are using another supplier. 8,100 cubic yards of concrete could easily build several bunkers. What is all this concrete being used for? Okay. And Holland Chase invoice 9033. Invoice number 9033, Holland Chase Concrete Company, 893 South Prairie Lane, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Date, March 19th, 73. Delivered to Appalachia Special Assignment. Invoice. Description, March shipment. Quantity, 8,300 cubic yards. Unit price, as spec'd. Note, Supervisor Baldwell will handle this personally. Do not look for Baldwell. These are the only invoices I managed to acquire. Public records show Holland Chase won a government contract in 72, but the details of the bid are classified. What is the government building? Next up, Vigilant Citizen's Note to Carter. Dear Quinn Carter, I have picked these words carefully, for if there is someone as doggedly committed to the truth in Appalachia, I do not know her. I suppose was, one of your more ardent fans. Know that if you read this, I am dead, killed by agents of the United States government intent on keeping a conspiracy secret. As improbable as it may seem, the treasure of Appalachia is not a hoax. It is real, and people have been killed for it. Enclosed as a part of my findings. Please broadcast, publish, and distribute. If the other evidence is also shared, you or someone else may put all the pieces together and achieve the final truth. Yours sincerely, a Vigilant Citizen. P.S. Time is short. At this juncture, I only trust you. Please go to the Clarksburg Post Office and ask for P.O. Box 999. We will definitely check that out. Alright, so here we are at the Clarksburg Post Office. Gonna head right on over in here, past the large number of ghouls I had to kill, and check out the Clarksburg Public Records Terminal. And we have one option here to enter down with the man. If you remember the notes we found at the front door in the pawn shop, that was listed in there. Let's click that. Password for program Deadman switch authenticated. Recent activity, timer 0 hour reached 0. Function showtime executed. Packages loaded and post office handy armed. Packages away. Final confirmation received. All packages delivered. Command, open timer 0 hour. Timer at 0 hour equals 28.0.0.0. Year 28, month 0, day 0, hour 0. Timer is locked by admin and cannot be modified. Interesting. Open function showtime. Function locked by admin, header access only, socket coppers, header ends. Open procedure, packages. Packages has 11 sub-procedures, all sub-procedures locked by admin. So this seems to be a basic explanation of how it is that all those packages got delivered where they got delivered. Now we only looked into 5 of them here in this one, but the map and code section includes 6 different packages, and so when it says here that all 11 sub-procedures have been completed, what it means is it shipped out all 11 of those packages to all their destinations. So the really interesting thing here is 0 hour, because it says that 0 hour was set to 28 years. Now, it depends entirely on when that timer started, but it would seem to me that this might indicate that the year has changed now. And, I mean, if we look at the Pip-Boy, it still says 2102. Now, that is the year that we exited the vault. This is still Reclamation Day, according to the calendar on our Pip-Boys. But if it says 28 years here, when we go back in here, then this could well mean, because 2102 is 25 years after the bombs. So if this one is saying that it's been 28 years, either that timer started 3 years early, or we might be looking at having the year changed to 2105. So it'll be very interesting to see how it is exactly that Wastelanders affects the clock, but let's get back to what we were doing before. Way station logs. Morgantown Way Station, I-68EB, exit LLAA. Daily auto ticket logs. So we've got 7 shipments here. The first one at 2:17 a.m., the second one at 2:26 a.m., the next one at 3:03 a.m., the next one at 11:01 a.m., the next one at 2:01 p.m., the next one at 7:08 p.m., and the next one at 9:13 p.m. So we got, then each one is over the limit of the way station. 29,120 pounds overloaded in the first case, 28,830, 35,110, 1,010 pounds, 3 pounds, 831 pounds, and 303 pounds. Each one was fined 31,000, 30,000, 42,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And then we also have statuses: admin override, admin override, admin override, status paid in full, sent to collections, debit account on file, and police call paid in full. So his notes: late night shipments of extreme amount of goods, waived fines. I interviewed the sole attendant at the way station, and he didn't even know there was an admin. Someone very connected is trying to make this go away. Next. Vigilant citizen's note to Van Lowe. Dear Calvin Van Lowe, to be frank, I hesitate to send this to you, but I am desperate. And from what I've heard, you and your friends are relentless about digging into the truth, despite what society may say. I beg you to hear me out. And the rest of this is what we've already read before, so I'm going to skip it this time. Next up, Suspicious Deaths Overview. Number 1, the work foreman was Antonio Childs, one of the more capable and respected builders in the area. He quit his job at Sunnyfield Construction 2 years ago. Then he went away for weeks at a time and came back with a great deal of cash. His new house is one of the biggest in Harper's Ferry. The neighbors had a host of suspicions about him. Was he a bank robber? A cat burglar? His closest friend and drinking companion said Antonio confided he found a nice cushy government contract and he was skimming some money on the side. Number 2, Mr. Tillings was killed 3 days after my interview with him when a truck smashed into the way station where he worked. The driver of the truck has been identified as Mr. John Doe. Mr. Doe claims to have lost control of the vehicle. He managed to bail out just before impact. After being held for observation in Morgantown General, Mr. Doe was discharged. There is no subsequent record of his stay. Interesting note right there, Morgantown General implies that there is a hospital in Morgantown, but we never really have come across that. Anyway, whatever additional evidence Mr. Tillings is going to provide is now lost. Number 3, I talked with Paige Rockwell, and she said the timing of Mrs. Shea's death was suspicious. Mrs. Shea was close to sending the Herald a bombshell. I managed to enter Shea's home 4 nights after the incident. There was ample evidence of a struggle, and clearly the whole place had been thoroughly searched. The government was looking for something, and I fear they found it and silenced her. Conclusion. So, 3 suspicious deaths. How is this a conspiracy, you may ask? I have sent my proof to several sources. You were just one. I fear your package is the least effective on its own, but if it is put together with the others, then a clear pattern emerges. As I investigated this conspiracy, the number of people that have moved suddenly, stopped returning my phone calls abruptly, met with accidents, or simply disappeared is alarming. These are just the 3 most obvious. Mr. Van Lowe, please share this with anyone willing to believe. So we have these 3 suspicious deaths. Suspicious death at Harper's Ferry. Man's skull fractured in robbery near Harper's Ferry train yard. By Luke Hogan. A 42-year-old work foreman was fatally injured when a group of 3 men attacked and robbed him by Harper's Ferry train yard last night, authorities said. The police responded at 1:32 a.m. to an anonymous call and discovered that the victim was already dead. Detectives determined that he was jumped from behind and was hit repeatedly with a large, blunt object. This is the first incident of its kind since the curfew was lifted after the Clay riot last Thursday. There's no word from the mayor if the curfew will be reenacted. Now this is very interesting because this is a new piece of lore related to Harper's Ferry that we did not have before. The Clay riot, which I'm assuming means Raleigh Clay and could be somehow related to Raleigh Clay's arrest, which we still don't really know exactly why Raleigh Clay was arrested. We just simply know he was arrested and that Senator Sam Blackwell was trying to get him off. Next up, suspicious death of Alicia Shea. Local woman commits suicide, neighborhood in mourning, by Paige Rockwell. Alicia Shea of Berkeley Springs was found dead in her bathroom by her daughter of 13 on Sunday. The police claim it was a suicide. Ms. Shea was a tireless advocate of the community and local unions. She led several anti-automation protests. She published several exposés in our newspaper. She was a true leader of her community. The mood in Berkeley Springs is one of anguish and outrage. One anonymous neighbor said, Alicia was done in. Last night several homes were broken in. You could hear yelling. When the investigator was asked about this evidence, he said, the case is closed. It's suicide, plain and simple. And suspicious death of Emmanuel Tillings. Obituaries. Emmanuel Tillings. Morgantown. The wife and children of Emmanuel Tillings expressed profound sorrow at the passing of their beloved husband and father. A tireless government worker, he always had a friendly smile to all truckers passing through Morgantown. Though the way station has now been closed, we are collecting donations to erect a small monument for him at the site. He will be missed. Okay. And Vigilant Citizen's note to Leah DaSilva. Dear Leah DaSilva, we have never met, but your abuela speaks of nothing else. I feel I know you. You are a woman of honor. The oaths you swore when joining the army were more than words. I hope with your rank you will have resources to investigate American lives being at risk on American soil. Know that if you... And the rest of it is the same. So I actually am starting to think that Leah DaSilva is the member of Taggarty's Thunder that we all know. If not, then the DaSilva and Taggarty's Thunder had a relative, either close or distant, that was also in the army. Okay, Filcher Farm Report. Dear Leah, the interview I did with Gladys Filcher is only part of the story. I followed the fencing for approximately 3 miles before I saw a military jeep approaching in the distance. I couldn't see anything from the fence line. Despite numerous radioactive hazard signs, my Geiger counter did not register anything beyond normal background levels of radiation. Even a minor nuclear accident would register at least something for a massive distance from its source. The upshot of this is that there was clearly no radioactive accident in the vicinity. So what was the military doing there? Why was so much land being cordoned off? What were the trucks doing that Mrs. Filcher reported late last night? Please use your military contacts to investigate and anonymously publish your findings. If everyone does what they are supposed to, the evidence will be undeniable. Sincerely, FS. And Vigilant Citizen's note to Sheriff Darcy. Dear Sheriff Darcy, I have followed your career with interest. You broke several notable cases in Charleston, and even when facing disciplinary hearings, you stood up for the truth. I hesitate to send you into harm's way again, but this is bigger than both of us. The rest is the same. On to Shanghai Sally, Conclusions. Doing research into the conspiracy in Berkeley Springs, I came across their own connection to Shanghai Sally. Sally was a summer news sensation, so I had heard of her, of course, but locals identifying her as Catherine Montgomery made me curious. The more I researched, the more oddities I found. Rutkowski reportedly went back east to deal with a family emergency the day after he gave testimony to the police. He was not heard from since. This is, despite his many close friends trying to find him. There is absolutely no record that Catherine Montgomery ever existed, yet almost a dozen people claim to know her very well and recall her chumming around with other off-duty military personnel. Several other soldiers, regulars of bars and houses of ill repute, went missing around the same time. 2 of the Ultralux mobsters look very similar to those missing soldiers, but given the number of bullet wounds in the face and bodies, it's hard to make a positive ID. The streets of Berkeley Springs have more Army MPs on them than a military base. They've been here so long that citizens don't even recognize how strange that is. So connecting the dots and posing a theory, Shanghai Sally is Catherine Montgomery. She and several accomplices somehow made over $20 million and went to Las Vegas. Then the government found them, and then used any means necessary to silence them permanently. I can feel it in my bones. The treasure of Appalachia is real. Montgomery found it, and has died because of it. Okay, Shanghai Sally, Berkeley Springs. We got 2 that are labeled that, and 1 that it says chapter closed. Berkeley Springs Police Report, case number, closed. Date, July 15th, 72, reporting officer R. Miles. C. Rutkowski came into the precinct at around 9 a.m. He had the Charleston Herald article about Shanghai Sally. He said the woman in the picture wasn't Sally Smith. Instead, it was Catherine Montgomery, a U.S. Army sergeant. Rutkowski said that Montgomery had been missing for 3 weeks. They were apparently in a relationship. Before the interview was concluded, 2 other people, D. Whitby and J. Seymour, D. Whitby being Daniel Whitby, the man who was turned into a ghoul in Harper's Ferry, just as an aside there, came in claiming they knew the Shanghai Sally's real identity as well. My partner and I went to interview some soldiers on R&R at Mike's. They indicated Montgomery was in charge of the motor pool, and they recognized her from one of Rutkowski's photos. When I showed them the Herald with a picture of Shanghai Sally, their demeanor changed and they excused themselves quickly. Actions taken. Notes were gathered from this, and the chief said that they would be passed along to the FBI. They claimed jurisdiction. We were told it must be a look-alike. Apparently it's pretty common in high-profile cases. The resemblance, though, is truly remarkable. Summary. All notes, records, and testimony have been boxed and sent by military courier to the FBI. Next up, Shanghai Sally, Berkeley Springs from the Charleston Herald. Or not. Am I not able to... Ah, there we go. Shanghai Sally Casino Shootout. 5 slain in mob shootout at the Ultralux by Luke Hogan. In a dramatic scene on Wednesday night, police stormed the Ultralux Casino in Las Vegas and engaged in a protracted battle with mobsters. Hundreds of bullets were fired, all mobsters were slain, and 17 bystanders were injured. Interviews with eyewitnesses indicate a complete chaos and contradictory stories. Some witnesses report the mobsters tried to surrender. Twice. One witness claims the firefight started with a sniper round, killing one of the mobsters. The cashier claimed the mobsters were winning until soldiers arrived and used a missile launcher to blow 2 of them up. The chief of police claimed this is a major victory. It's time for us to send the clear message that no one in Las Vegas is above the law. The Ultralux, of course, was a casino within Fallout New Vegas. Shanghai Sally, chapter closed. Shanghai Sally's Reign of Terror Ends by Norman Pennywise. Vertebrates still circle the piers in Galveston, hovering over the charred remains of the getaway boat the U.S. Navy barraged Sunday afternoon, thus ending the crime spree of one of the most notorious Chinese spies in U.S. history, Shanghai Sally. Although it seemed like a lifetime ago, Shanghai Sally was only identified on Thursday. Initially, Shanghai Sally was discovered barricaded in one of the high roller suites in the Lucky 38 in Las Vegas with over $20 million in cash stuffed into several duffel bags. Before she could be apprehended, she allegedly used bed sheets to climb down to the ground floor. In the 4 days that followed, reports of Shanghai Sally eluding the police came in hour by hour as she made her way east. She was sighted in Flagstaff, Albuquerque, and El Paso, while carjacking vehicles from innocents. One unconfirmed report indicates she even infiltrated a U.S. Army base and stole a fully armed vertibird. Early Sunday morning, Shanghai Sally was identified by a red rocket gas attendant in Galveston. As she sped off to meet her Chinese handlers in the stolen speedboat, the USS Wade barraged the boat with a salvo of heavy ordnance, dramatically closing this terrifying chapter. Alright, so that was the lore. Up next we've got the maps. If we hit the black light here, that shows us the clues to find all the pieces of the map. But that is for the next video. This has been the Resolute Cartographer. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you have any comments or questions, leave them for me and I'll try to get back to you. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.